What's up guys, today we're going to be going over why I'm no longer a Warlock main in Destiny 2. In this video I'll be going over my favorite build on all three characters right now, just to have them all in one place, and overall just discussing why I'm no longer maining Warlock and what character I'm playing now. You've probably seen throughout the past few weeks I'm always on my Hunter for videos, so that should tell you which character I am playing the most. But jumping into the builds, first with the Warlock 1, this is going to be all about the Osteo, Exotic SMG, and then the Necrotic Grip. Because of how strong this combo is, you can pretty much do this on any subclass. It doesn't have to be Void, but I do play it with Void for mostly Devour. So I have Child of the Old Gods and Feed the Void. Then my fragments are the blue one, the one that will increase the duration of my Vortex, Undermining, then also the one where you get more super energy while surrounded. And with this I usually run the Chain Reaction GL from the raid. You can use any wayframe there. Now I usually run a rocket of choice, the Palmera with the auto loading. My mods are Elemental Ordnance with a kinetic siphon to create Masterwork Orbs, Well of Tenacity along with a bolstering detonation to get my rift back quicker. Then I have Elemental Time Dilation to make the Well of Tenacity last a lot longer, Reaping Wellmaker to make Void Elemental Wells, and Well of Utility to get extra chunks of my rift back when I pick up the Void Wells. So the whole point of this build is pretty much Osteo plus Necrotic does everything for us. It's extremely strong on any level of content in the game. It's practically what I've used the entire DLC. And with Void 3.0 you can proc Devour to stay alive. And with this build you want to be putting down your Rift all the time to get the Void Soul, along with just simply being in a healing rift. And as I mentioned, this really doesn't revolve around Void 3.0 at all. You can really do this on any subclass, so even with Arc or Solar 3.0 down the road, just throwing on Osteo plus Necrotic will work the same. So now moving on to the Titan build, looking at my subclass first. My first aspect is the Overshield 1 along with the Volatile aspect, and pretty similar fragments as before. Starvation for Devour, the Bloom 1, Undermining for the debuff Grenade, and finally Exchange to get more grenade energy on melee final blows. Then my mods of choice will be 1 Elemental Ordnance with 3 melee Wellmakers and 1 Bountiful Wells. I have both Grenade Kickstart and 1 melee Kickstart on my gloves. Then on my class item I also have Devouring Depths along with Energy Vaporism, which will be very important because we'll be suppressing a lot of enemies. And depending on what I'm doing, sometimes I change out the Elemental Ordnance for Volatile Flow to make my Void Weapon volatile to just further increase the AoE accuracy of this build. An exotic of choice will be the Heart of Inmost Light, and I usually pair it with a Void Weapon of choice, Rocket, then Witherhoard, or Iznagi's depending on what I'm doing. So overall the whole point of this build is it's by far the best ability spam build for Void 3.0 between all three characters. With the Heart of Inmost Light ×2 buff, not only will your abilities be doing more damage, they'll be coming back extremely fast. Every melee will be a Void melee once you have your Overshield, which means they all will proc the Volatile aspect along with the Bloom Fragment, and results in by far the best abilities for Void 3.0. And finally on Hunter, the build I've been using, looking at the subclass, I have Vortex Grenade on, 2 fragments are Vanishing Step, along with Stylish Executioner. Fragments of choice will be the Bloom 1, the Grenade debuff, the Devour 1, and finally the one to get more super while surrounded. And with this I use the Witherhoard / Iznagi's Burden for boss fights. Then I have a Void Weapon of choice. My favorite is the Wellspring Every Waking Moment. Then the Palmera Rocket with the auto loading. And looking at the exotic armor piece, I use the Star Eater skills, which will result in the highest DPS super in the game. For movement, I'll swap off to the Stomp Bees. Then finally, in situations where I can't get a bunch of orbs, I swap over to the Orbius Rig, which will still be among the highest super DPS in the game. There are mods of choice will be Elemental Ordnance with both Harmonic and Kinetic Siphon to create orbs with both our top slots. I have Reaping Wellmaker along with Bolstering Detonation, Quantum Might with double Rocket Reserves. Then the final 2 mod slots are Bountiful Wells. Then finally the Volatile Flow and Devouring Depths. So overall the point of this build is you practically just spam everything, your dodge, your grenade, your Witherhoard, volatile rounds on your Void Weapon, and all those things will cause you to go invis constantly, and it all just works extremely well together. So those are my favorite builds for each character, and I'll definitely link the dim loadout down below. But now I want to talk about why I'm no longer maining Warlock. Up until this point in Destiny 2, I think 85 to 90% of my playtime has always been a Warlock, and for the first time ever I'm truly playing other characters as often, if not way more often. I don't know the last time I logged into Destiny 2 and actually clicked Warlock first. it's generally been Hunter every single time. And that's because if you just simply compare the Void 3.0 subclasses, the best way to describe the Warlock one is it doesn't feel like you can do anything on that subclass that you can't do on Hunter or Titan. So for example, if you look at all the different abilities and like ability spam builds, every character has Devour Now, which is huge for your grenade. All 3 characters have access to the same elemental will mods, along with a demo or wellspring weapon. So when it comes down to like ability uptime, Warlock used to be the best by far, but now they're all more or less on the same playing field. The only real difference for your abilities would be the exotic armor pieces, and you could argue Titan has the best one. But then on Hunter, all those abilities will make you go invis constantly, and then on Titan, all the abilities also are volatile, which just makes them even that much stronger, and they can provide themselves and their allies an overshield. So when it comes down to it, for the abilities, Warlock is actually the worst now, and the only thing it really has to offer is a bigger vortex grenade, which is definitely good, but with how fast you can spam all of your abilities on all the characters, it's not really that big of a deal. And the other aspect that you can run on Warlock is the Void Soul, which is strong and will debuff enemies, but when you have a grenade every 3 seconds on every character, you already have such high uptime on the Void 15% debuff on whatever enemy you want. And if we compare the supers, the Hunter has by far the best super in the game right now, doing both the highest DPS and applying a 30% debuff for your entire fire team. It pretty much is unbeatable. And then for Titan, you have either Banner Shield, which is the highest buff in the game at 40%, or you still have Ward of Dawn, which is still extremely strong for team DPS settings. And then on Warlock, you have Nova Bomb, which is definitely good, but doesn't do the damage that Tether does, doesn't apply a debuff, doesn't give you a buff for your entire team. So honestly, once again, I think the worst super of the 3. And all these things have led me to not really play Warlock that much this season. As you see, my favorite build on Warlock doesn't even really take advantage of Void 3.0, it's more so just Osteo plus Necrotic, and I find myself playing Hunter almost all the time. Honestly, with Void 3.0, it seems like the Hunter thing is Invis, the Titan thing is Overshield, and usually before the Warlock thing was Devour, but now that they gave Devour to all 3 characters, it seems like Warlock just doesn't have a thing. And I feel like a lot of Warlock players out there might be upset about that, but for me, if that is the price it takes to make all the characters feel extremely strong and have me actually wanting to play them, I think for me that is worth the trade-off, and that is why I'm no longer a Warlock main. And I honestly think going forward I'll be playing all 3 characters almost equally, depending on which one I think is the best at the time. I might swap. For example, right now I'm playing Hunter, but when Solar comes out, you know, Titan or Warlock could easily be my favorite. Then for Arc, you know, who knows what it is. So overall, right now is a great time to be playing multiple characters in Destiny 2. Anyways, I think that's gonna be it for the commentary. There might be a little bit of strike gameplay left. Like usual, thanks for watching. Catch you guys next time.